I equally love it, and there's part of me that wants to hate it because it's just like, screw you for making me work for this.
Yes.
Welcome back to Recommendations Required, a podcast where two best friends try to find their next obsession, and maybe so will you. I'm Ryan Mione.
And I'm Glenn Brown.
All right, third time is the charm. That was the third time we tried to start this podcast, and we made it, and we did it. I'm not going to add anything. If you don't know what this podcast is, basically Glenn and I have been friends for a while. We like to find different things that we're obsessed about, either video games, books, TV shows, podcasts, anything under the sun. We try to find what the other person will like. So there's more nuance to that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But if it's your first time listening, thanks for joining us. It's been a rough episode already, and we're 13 seconds in.
We're struggling to start this episode for some reason.
But here
we're a little flustered.
It's fine.
But we're here. We're doing it.
We did do an opener about a draft for the summer.
No,
we're gonna.
That's been erased.
It's been erased from history.
Doesn't exist
I don't really
anymore.
have any immediate openers. We've been doing some Apex, which has been really fun lately.
Mm-hmm.
We're not good at it.
No, we're
not
good
good at
awful. Yeah, let's just talk about Apex for a second.
Okay, that can be our opener.
That's our opener. It seems like regardless of how bad we are, we just somehow continue to be put in lobbies where we get crushed instantly.
Yeah, a lot of Smurfs, a lot of sweaty people.
Yeah, and I would think that Apex would just keep lowering our tier of lobby it's putting us in. But apparently, there's just no one as bad as we are. Yeah, exactly.
We hit the limit. They're like, if we put you in a lobby with people that you're even with, it will just be the two of you.
Yes.
You will boot into the game and then immediately win.
It's like if everyone was ranked on a scale from 1 to 100, we're like rank 3. And the next people playing the game are rank 25, and that's 100%. Just how it is. There's just a huge gap there, and we just suck that bad.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love playing.
We still have fun playing it.
It's so much fun.
And you know what? Sometimes we suck at starting podcasts, but we're still doing it.
But we're still
in it. We're still here. We're still doing it. We got some things to review. We got some things to recommend. You recommended me a app or program. Which I would say
I don't know what they're called.
I don't know if we've done an app or a program yet, but Notion.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things to talk about.
Okay. I'm loving
so let's just jump into it because there's the recommendation I have too. I think will be fun. I think there will be tons of tangents that we'll probably be jumping into. Yeah. But
can I give a brief description of Notion again?
Let me give a brief description. Okay. No, you can go.
Yeah. Okay. So if you didn't listen to that last episode, I pitched you Notion. And Notion is it does a lot of things, but at its core, it's like an organization tool.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar to, I think I used ClickUp as a corollary. So it allows you to take notes, track your time, just track things in general. Yep. Except Notion is much more open and creative to anything you want to put in there or templates you want to use. Yep. People are creating templates for it all the time. Yes. They just added AI. It's much more free to what you want to make it be.
So I feel like I am constantly on the search for the system that's going to help my brain work the way I want it to. Yeah. So I have ADHD and I thought I was really lazy. Probably still am. But the bigger factor is that I just can't find a system to stay organized, remember things, and stay proactive about jumping on tasks. Yeah. So I have tried Trello. I have tried Scrum, which is not a program, but a productivity way of thinking or way of organizing. I've tried ClickUp. I've tried Monday for a little bit. I haven't touched Asana yet, so I'm heading into Notion. And I Notion went from me really enjoying it to so close to saying it was horrible.
Oh, really? Whoa.
To now totally obsessed.
Oh, okay.
So
what a roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll walk through that.
Yeah. I'd love to hear this journey.
Yeah. So I I'm just going to throw this out right at the beginning. Like, because I don't think there's a ton of people who are going to be super interested in listening to me rant about Notion.
Sure,
so I'll give the too long didn't read.
It's a little particular.
Yeah. So I'll give like the spark notes at the beginning right now. And then if you want to get into why I came to that conclusion, you can listen on.
Sure.
But basically, Notion is an extremely powerful productivity app for your life, like for your personal life, for work, whatever you want. It's literally endless. That said, the learning curve, like if you have an idea of what you want it to be, you can do it. Holy crap.
You got to learn how to do it.
And the real question comes down to, do you have the time to put into Notion to make it what you want it to be? Or do you find a different program that has already done that? And for me, I think it's Notion. For me, I think I stick with Notion, and I think it's really interesting. And I've watched some videos about it to kind of not even just learn about it, but people talking about why Notion's getting so big. So the thing about Notion that is so different than any app or organizational tool is that there is a cult following with it. And it is definitely insane. Like there are YouTube
crazy.
Channels that are just built on
about
Notion, and it's like that is their livelihood.
There are people with like online shops that are just Notion templates. Like
they're making their living.
Their whole career is just building templates for Notion.
And that would be my first like recommendation is if you want to get in Notion, don't like just do a checklist and documents and then use templates right off the bat. Then start kind of customizing those templates and start working and start learning little by little, because I had a system in my head that I wanted to create and I realized how complicated it was. And I'm able to do Notion, but I got to the point where I was like, why am I spending
so much time?
Hours. Why am I spending hours trying to figure out how to get this to work when other apps are just doing the same thing and already perfect, quote unquote, not really, but like are where I want them to be. And then it was after those hours that I've now been using that system I've created, and I'm like, okay, Notion is the best. I'm never going back.
Right?
I'm not going back.
It's so worth it.
So here's the thing. Notion is really great. There's more happening in Notion than you realize. And not system-wise, but psychologically. IKEA theory. And the idea is that if you put time and work into something, you will enjoy that thing and value that thing more. So I feel like if you were to compare Notion to a video game, it would be Minecraft. Notion.
Oh, that's such a perfect analogy.
Minecraft. Very literally has the worst graphics, some of the most boring systems.
On purpose?
Like on purpose, in order so that it can be deconstructed and reconstructed in however you want. And
a world made in
exactly
your
in blocks. And it's
it.
like, and it's Minecraft knows that, and they're playing into that, right? It's similar with Notion, where Notion is saying there are apps that if you want to use this system, it's going to be like seamless. Like you're just going to be able to do it and execute it, and it's going to be great.
But you can't change anything.
And so me being able to go, this is what I have in my head. How do I do that? And then knowing that there's no roadblocks. That was the thing that pushed me into it. And so, I started out going, this is pretty cool. I like the templates. I like the design. I like what I'm able to do. And then I wanted to create this system, and I went, how the hell do I do this? How do I make this happen? And then I was like hours into trying to figure this thing, like literally spent days. Trying to create this system. I was like, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. I hate this. And then I got it, and I was like, I've never been more productive in my life.
I love it.
So it's just,
this is so good.
I've used it for, the biggest things for me right now is, so something with 4 and through 7, which is my business, is there's so many different facets of it. And keeping all of those projects in check and making sure I know where each thing is at and how to prioritize my time to go, okay, I need to go into sales. I need to do more management work. I need to do more editing. I need to do more social marketing. Whatever that is, to keep all of those kind of like fires going at the same time is really complex, especially for me where I get very tunnel vision. I work on this project and that's it. So to create these different pages and create these different checkpoints and create these different sprints, it just was super, super helpful. And then
it's almost like you're also like, I loved the aesthetic aspects too of like you're almost creating like workspaces too. I don't know how much you played around with like the aesthetics of the pages.
I did, and I know there's more I can get into. To me, I was like, I needed to just be functional right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the aesthetic's fine. I think like there are other apps that I've used that I think I like the aesthetic better. But again, it comes back to the point that you can make it look.
You can make it look
however you want.
Yeah.
So like they play down. It looks simple because it is simple, and it's like Notion, and it's similar to IKEA. Like they deconstruct all the pieces so that you can feel that piece of bringing it together. It's this Notion is endless. You can just keep adding to it and adding to it, similar to Minecraft. But like the other thing I did was meal prep, which was really interesting. So you can like I got a template and I need to keep working on it, which is like all of a sudden Notion is now a hobby of mine. And I'm like, great. Okay, this is like so much deeper than just, I like this system, I'm going to use this. This is like, it becomes like a cult. Like this is now a way of life.
The podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like this Notion is way more fitting to this podcast than I realized, because you brought it up. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, second week into it, I was like, okay.
I was so hoping this would click for you. Yeah.
So with like meal prepping, it's cool where I can create all these recipes and then I can figure out when I want to cook them in the week, pick them out, and then it will automatically create a shopping list. But I can also keep categories of what I already have. And then I can even use AI to say, this is what I have in my pantry, make a meal out of it.
Yep.
And it will do it. And it's incredible. So it's just, I have only hit the surface of it. I'm loving it right now. It's really, really great. I think it's not for everyone. And it's,
definitely not. Definitely not. No. I think I prefaced with that in the last episode. It's got a very steep learning curve that
really
like
steep.
It's requires a certain kind of person, like there's ClickUp people and there's Notion people.
I don't say this to be like insulting, but I feel like the things that I need Notion to do are way more complex than you or maybe the average person would want Notion to be, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you have sales and like, you have like your woodworking stuff and then personal life and all these things, but there's such a specific way. So I think it's like where I got stuck. I wanted it done such a specific way, which it could be done. But I think if you're someone that's like works a more typical job and has more typical like home life, you'll feel right. You'll get into the rhythm of it quicker.
Yeah. I think one of the things that was really interesting that I realized I was doing was I feel like, let's say it's ClickUp, right? I go in there, create a workspace, create these tabs, and like I use it for a month and I'm like, okay, that's kind of it. Like I don't need it to do anymore and I'm not really going to return to it. But Notion almost feels like this endless depth that I can keep adding and adding and adding to. And it like you said, it becomes a hobby where like I started off with a personal page to track like growth habits. Like I want to read and work out every day and like drink this much water, that kind of thing. And then I also had like a home projects, like I want to redo the patio, fix the fence, like that kind of thing. But now I have my reading list on there, my anime list. I just started taking notes on the Bible Project podcast in like a tab that I can like share with people too, so they can see the notes I'm taking. I've just like, I keep expanding it to more and more and more pages.
Areas of your life. Yeah.
And areas of my life that I can just keep going with. And that's fine, and I can just like keep accumulating everything in this one spot, which is so nice.
And I think it's something too, where it's like, it's very much, it's the same reason we're still into Magic, because like it can endlessly go deep. And so it's like that same thing where it's like you engage with this thing, you enjoy it. And I don't know if you have this thing where it's like, sometimes I don't want to put time and effort into a thing if I kind of know that I can hit the bottom faster. Like the more I work at it.
Totally agree.
Like I think it's sometimes why I don't get so much into first person shooters, because it feels like at the end of the day, what's going to get me better is reflexes.
Yeah.
as opposed to an understanding of things, which is not totally true. But you know what I mean? Like, I think
it depends on the game.
I think I want a deeper, more tactical, more, insert all the buzzwords here.
Yeah. We like to dive in the deep end versus someone who just wants to hang out in the shallow end of the pool.
Yeah, which is fine.
Which is
but
you're
probably not listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
So screw you.
This is a very deep end of the pool podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure. Yeah.
You have drowned already. You haven't made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was something for me with Notion that was interesting, and
it just seems like there's so much being added to it too. Like it's not like the depth isn't like something I can see the bottom of.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I'm kind of reaching a point where I can like see the bottom of this pool, and then Notion just suddenly dug 5 feet deeper.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
people in the Notion community have dug 5 feet deeper.
It tapped into a vein of existence where it says like, look at, I mean, I'm just applying this to video games because I think they live in similar spheres of this idea of like a digital thing that you can keep updating and changing.
Yeah.
But there are still people playing Skyrim, which is now 10
so old. It's
15
longer.
years
I think
old.
it's more than 10. It's got to be more than 10.
Yeah. So
it's old.
It's like 10, 15 years old. You have people who are still playing Gary's mod. Same thing. It's like these games.
I mean, Minecraft.
Great
exactly. Example.
It's like when you create a sandbox game or a sandbox experience like Notion. Notion is not a great checklist creator. It's not a great documents like note taking app. It's not really amazing at everything.
It is.
But okay, hold on. It's inherent. There are other apps that are specifically.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it is the jack of all trades.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Of product.
100%.
Like life management. Yeah.
So and that's what I like, because also there's that piece where it's like, okay, maybe this doesn't write the best notes, but if I know Notion well enough, I can then integrate it with my checklist, with my schedules, with
I think that's the key for me, is it's all in one place.
It's the reason also people love Mac, right?
Yes,
because it's one ecosystem.
It's one ecosystem.
All you're needing to learn with Notion is this. It's a It's
I don't need ClickUp, the project tracker, and the Notes app, the note
Evernote,
app,
exactly.
Like I don't need all of these separate things. I can just throw it all in one place. I pull it up, it's right there.
Yeah. The one little gripe I have is, so the current system I'm working with is I have Notion, and then on my phone I think it's this app called To-Do Lists or whatever. It doesn't matter, but basically I wish that Notion had a better app interface, because the system I'm currently doing is I have an app, the To-Do Lists, where basically I just do brain dumps. And then at the beginning of each day, I look at all the things that I wrote, and then I put that into Notion.
Gotcha.
And I just feel like I tried doing that with Notion, and it was just maybe I need to set it up better or whatever, but
I have noticed
that roadblock.
I have noticed that if you go on your computer and set up a new page and you're like setting up all these things, it's going to look great on the computer.
Yeah.
But it might not always transfer perfectly to like an iPad or an iPhone. Yeah. It's very much like the thing you created it on, it's going to work best in that environment.
100%. And I don't need it to.
I'm sure there's ways to like fix that, but I haven't figured that out. Where I agree. Sometimes I'll hop on my phone and I'm like, why did this format this way?
A huge part of it is like adding a table of contents to the top of your page, because that integrates onto your phone a lot easier. Because when you hit it, it will just it'll send you to that spot. So again, it's like being able to add buttons, being able to automate things, being able to use AI. Like it's so hard to like fully explain the experience of it. And then like I equally love it, and there's part of me that wants to hate it, because it's just like, screw you for making me work for this.
Yes.
Like I love it because I have to, but like also screw you.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think that's so tough, because I think those two things are like inherently opposed, right?
Yeah.
Like ClickUp is no work, but it's also not going to get you where you want to be. And like Notion can get you where you want to be, but it's going to be work. And like you can't just have it automatically read your thoughts and be what you want it to be.
The one thing is, and I haven't figured it out yet, I feel like there has to be a way around this, but like I've experienced it with almost every productivity app like ClickUp and stuff is like a lot of features being hidden behind paywalls.
Yeah.
Which is like, I really enjoy this with Notion. But
I wanted to ask you, have you hit a paywall with Notion?
Yes.
Have you ever hit a moment where it's like, oh, you can't do that unless you pay for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Several times.
I still haven't hit that yet.
So it's the pictures.
Okay.
And again, the thing is for me is like,
pictures.
I want Notion to be a lot of things for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, as soon as I added someone to a space, it messes everything up.
Oh, how so?
So it basically, it limits how much you can put in the workspace that you create. So like in Notion, you have these different workspaces.
Unless you pay for it.
Unless you pay for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which
I've
then
only
like
been using it personally,
I think
so
it's
that makes sense.
$10, $15 per person. And for me, who's constantly working with different people, I'm like, okay, well, this. So basically, at the end of the day, the way Notion makes so much money and stays in business is they make it extremely easy for the singular person, the individual, to be organized.
Yeah.
Which, when that person then wants to bring that system to a team,
they have to pay for it.
Interesting. They got to pay for it.
I was very curious where the money is coming from, you know, because like I said, I haven't hit a paywall. I'm like, where does it come in? There's no ads. Like none of that. But that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that's okay. Like I'm not like, I rather have that than like ClickUp be like, you can't use any more sprints, and I'm like, what the worst?
Okay, the worst is I'm okay if there is a feature that you need to pay for to use.
Yeah.
Understandable. That's how you're making your money. Otherwise, this thing wouldn't exist.
I think like full AI for Notion, you have to pay for. I think it's like
that makes sense. Sure. Yeah. Like that's totally understandable. What ClickUp did, which I really hated, was they gave you the feature.
I know.
For a certain amount of time or a certain amount of views or something, and then they yanked it from you and said, "Now you need to pay for it."
That's bogus.
And I'm like, "Oh,
yeah, just
why didn't
hide
you just tell me in the first place that I can't use this?" Like,
exactly.
Because I set stuff up in there.
Yep.
And now it's gone.
But now you have to pay for it, which feels crummy to me. Where Notion
so rough.
Notion's a little bit. I feel like more upfront.
Yeah. Just
here's
tell
all
me
the
when
things.
I need to pay for.
Hey, I want to do this. You can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Notion. I think I'll probably keep using it like indefinitely. I want to keep working at it. I want to keep getting better at it. I like love it. I think
we haven't even talked about like some of the features too. Like you can embed things. I don't know how much you did with embedding.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, not any more than any other app I've used.
Okay. I've never like embedded things in a productivity app before, but like let's say you're doing like a travel, like you're planning out a vacation in like one of the spaces or whatever. You can like embed Google Maps into your ClickUp and like it'll pull up all of the locations you're considering visiting and how close they are to each other and like plan out your walks or
you can
like
make
Ubers
the interface really
it's
really,
crazy
really
like
awesome.
how much stuff you can like add to it from the internet.
Yep.
And it just integrates into Notion, which is really cool.
Yeah, and there's if we were to start listing all the features, we just
we'd be here all day.
We could have a whole podcast on Notion, like just as all these things that we jump into. I think if you work with multiple people and want to use Notion and you don't want to spend money, this isn't for you.
Yeah,
I think
sounds like it.
If you're kind of like, I just need a checklist, or I just need just use notes, like use something else. Like again, it's like if you're wanting a singular system for all parts of your life, then this is the app for you.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a singular thing, then just find an app that does that better.
Yeah.
I really don't have any gripes. I wish they could let me use more colors in it.
More colors?
They only give you 10 colors, and it makes me upset.
Oh, okay.
But that's like...
I haven't noticed these things. That's the other thing is I feel like I'm using Notion in a totally different way from you.
Yeah.
And it both works.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
It's great.
I'm like working on some Notion stuff for like video production, and I'll be like, we'll see if I actually end up start selling templates, but... I'm currently working on it and like fleshing it out. And that's the other thing too. I think it's just like, there's no other system where it's like, oh, I could like, if I figure this out and I get it to like get really good with it, it could also make me money.
Yeah.
Like,
you could also just sell that template.
It's incredible.
And
it's so good. So I'm about to make a statement here. I think this is your best recommendation yet.
I kind of thought that when I was recommending it, but I didn't want to say anything. And I was like, it feels like kind of a lame thing to be my best recommendation.
Easily your best recommendation.
Oh,
I was
so good.
re-listening to our episodes, and we got to the Way of Kings, which like I think you and I talked about doing a spoiler episode that just got buried underneath because so I was like re-listening. I was like, we definitely need to do a spoiler episode.
Yeah.
But it was like, you're like, is this my best recommendation? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, listening to this while using Notion. I'm like, no. Notion leaves Way of the Kings like in the dust.
Okay. Well, that gives me a good roadmap.
Yeah,
forward.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's great. If you're kind of like me where you keep trying to find, who knows, maybe like in 2 weeks I'll find a different system because that's just how my brain works sometimes.
I feel like we've glanced off that topic a couple times now.
But
I'm
feeling hopeful for Notion. The only thing that feels really like kind of crappy to me is how isolating it is, unless you're willing to spend money.
Yeah.
I have felt like, but I think can you have people view your Notion and not be able to edit and like send it to as many people as you want?
I don't know. Were you able to see the Notion I shared with you?
Yeah.
So I set you as view only.
Okay.
And like,
maybe
it didn't tell me I had to pay for it or anything.
Because maybe
I've
that's
done that
the
with
thing.
other people.
Yeah.
Maybe if you just want multiple editors, it starts
that's where it
costing
gets
money.
expensive. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
But
Notion, if you want to sponsor this podcast, please. I will talk to you.
I'd love that.
I'll talk about you to the end of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing recommendation. Also, like, feel like very much of a stealth recommendation. Like you brought it up, I was like, all right, Notion, like, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, get it.
Love it. Even if this doesn't sound like up your alley or like you don't even use it that much, it kind of feels like a cultural zeitgeist kind of moment where it's blowing up so much. Like, just like, I don't know, hop into it a minute, play around with it, see what it's like.
100%. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go to my recommendation, which is on the completely opposite spectrum of recommendations.
I can't wait.
So I'm going to go grab it.
Okay, grab it. You're going to go grab it.
Let's keep it rolling.
He's grabbing it, folks. What is he grabbing? Oh, it's a book. It's a book. Okay, good. I want to read more. It's a book. It's a big book. Oh, dear. I've done this to myself.
And we're back. maybe we'll include all that.
That's all staying in.
Okay. Let me just kind of explain.
Mm-hmm.
So
books.
Not quite. They're a little different. Okay. It's not quite a book.
It's not quite a book.
I'll explain in a second.
Okay.
So I got obsessed with this author.
Okay.
And I saw his work on some YouTube videos, and it's a genre.
You're being so vague.
I know. I'll get into it in a second. I just like we gotta create some drama. I know.
Anticipation.
I know. So there's gonna be a lot of names in this that I'm gonna pronounce incorrectly. So I saw his work on some YouTube videos, and it hits a genre of writing, art, movies, games that I think is really poorly represented, which is cosmic horror. Have you heard of this concept?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
of course.
So do you know who like H.P. Lovecraft is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not going to dive into
horror.
Yeah, exactly. Lovecraftian horror. So I'm going to dive into this really, really quickly. But H.P. Lovecraft kind of known as like Lovecraftian horror, like from this author who was, side note, horribly racist.
Oh,
just a fun thing, just to ruin anything we enjoy,
Yeah.
So throw that out there real quickly. But he created this horror genre that's less about being scary, and the concept is just to make it's like playing into someone's psyche of understanding actually how small we are in the universe.
Yeah, it's like a eerie.
Yeah, I would never say it's scary. It's just like it's supposed to be so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and I don't know where this works.
It's
but
like
Eldritch,
uncomfortably powerless.
Yes. And it's like kind of the idea that like the monsters or the gods or the creatures that that are existent like don't even think about us as an afterthought.
No,
like we are
ants
ants to them. Yeah. And that's kind of and it's really hard to visually show that, or it's really hard to like show that in a video game, right? Because it's like you can see it and it kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
So his name is, I think it's pronounced
Japanese.
Junji Ito.
Okay.
It is Japanese.
Okay.
It is a manga.
Is this a manga?
It's a manga.
My first manga.
You've never read a manga?
I've never read a manga before. Okay.
So
I'm so
it's not quite a book. It's not quite a graphic novel.
Yeah.
So
It's
manga.
manga.
Manga. Like, it's just like how anime is basically animation, like from Japan.
Yeah.
Graphic novel from Japan, manga. It's great. So he is like, I don't know. I don't know what. So I was watching his YouTube video, like a YouTube video, kind of doing a deep dive into his work. It's like, oh, this is really interesting. And then I was at a Barbara's bookstore.
I cannot believe that you are recommending
And a
manga.
manga. I know. This is like
I'm so
out of left
blown
field.
away. Oh man,
Out of left field. So here's the thing about this.
Yeah.
You enjoy, to my understanding, things that are easy to consume, and this is not a judgment, but enjoyable, easy to consume. I would say comforting in a lot of ways. Like, you had a hard time with Attack on Titan, which is my favorite anime because of the darkness of it.
I feel like that's not a factual statement. I don't think I had a hard time with Attack on Titan due to its uncomfortable violence.
Okay.
I think it got uncomfortably complicated at one point where I was like,
disagree with you
man,
entirely. That makes it almost worse.
There's so much happening. I don't understand.
I can't believe you haven't finished it. It's so good.
I did just watch another episode. I'm trying to get back on the roll with that. Yeah.
This makes Attack on Titan look like a kid's book.
Okay.
It is horrifying on a
is this going to
primal
damage
level.
my psyche?
No. So
I'm getting scared.
Basically he does a bunch of short stories, right? They're like a collection of stories.
Oh, okay.
I've read
interesting
4 of his books at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This one,
all manga?
all mangas.
Okay.
This one really spoke to me. It's Uzumaki, and it's basically a bunch of short stories that are a single town. Something happened to a single town. So while they're all very individual, they are very like the stories connect and merge.
Yeah,
so things that have happened in one story,
you'll see hints of it in another.
This is more, I would say, like beginning to end a story, but you'll see kind of what I mean when you read it.
Okay.
What I love about his creativity and the way he thinks about things is he takes really, really simple concepts and he just kind of gets weird with it. And he also doesn't take himself too seriously. There's like short stories in here that are just goofy. Like they're just silly.
Okay.
But it's also like when you look at the pictures and you're reading it, you're like, this is also like really messed up. Like this is really, really dark. So like this one I think is the one that I would want to recommend to you first because I think I feel like it hits the most of his styles. You have a little of these kind of silly dark ones. You have
Gives
ones
you the best vibe for
you have ones that are just like effed to all hell. It ends in an insane way. One of the stories that's not in this book that I'll kind of like explain a little bit is so there's a short story where all of a sudden there's this earthquake and it has revealed the inside of a mountain, right? So like the earthquake has like kind of broken the mountain for whatever reason. And on the mountain are human-shaped holes littered all over the side of it, like perfectly carved human-shaped holes.
Okay.
And so everyone goes over and realizes that there's a hole for every person in the town.
Oh, wow.
And you just see them like go into it and it just keeps going deeper. Like they just keep going deeper into this hole.
Okay.
And
why
in
the love of God would you enter that
Well,
hole?
that's the thing. They're like, I don't know why, but I need to go into it.
Oh, it's like a transfixion.
That's where the cosmic
thing.
horror starts to come into. It's like this deep feeling of like something is pulling me in.
Yeah.
And this book has stuff like that.
Okay.
So all the stories are around spirals. Is around the concept of a spiral.
A spiral.
That's the whole book.
Okay.
And he goes through so many different layers and directions with it, and I'm obsessed. Like I'm
so intrigued.
I
am shocked that you are recommending a manga to me, but this also sounds so up your alley at the same time.
It's dark.
This is
it's
such a Ryan
gruesome.
thing.
It's like, I forgot you. Oh, dude, the last one is so just like, and it's like I don't know. It's horrifying and terrible, but it doesn't really cross that line for me where it's like sticks with me on a deep level. We'll see. We'll see if that. Here's like one page.
Oh, that's fun looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like he does a lot of that stuff where he builds up and then it's just one full page of like a horrifying picture. And there's you shouldn't Google anything about him yet.
Oh, no.
Just read it because there's a specific picture in here that is like represents
his thing. Yeah.
Represents him.
Okay.
It has to do with a woman and an eyeball, and I'll let you figure that one out.
Okay.
So yeah, that is my recommendation.
Is he author and artist?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the research I was doing. He started doing this at the age 5, like drawing this kind of manga.
Okay.
He went into like being like a dental worker, or like not quite a dentist, but something in the dental, like doing illustrations for that.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Like, I don't know, like there's some he gets the human anatomy to an extent that just like he creates these just thinking about someone drawing teeth.
Yeah.
That kind of describes the feeling of like the whole book. Like all this mangas. It's just like this is really, really unsettling.
My God.
Yeah, and it's like it's very anime and manga in the sense of like if I were to describe a single concept of you, you'd be like, that sounds so stupid. You know what I mean? Like it's back to that
anime thing. Yeah.
Back to that like demon hunter concept we talked about where it's like, oh, it's really cool, and he's like, and he can smell really good. Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah. They just throw in random BS.
So, questions.
Okay. Oh man, I wouldn't even know what to question you on for this. Okay, so I have thought about reading manga before just because I love anime so much. Yeah. But honestly, there's something about it being black and white that is always like kind of like, oh, like I can just see these vivid colors in the anime. Why would I read the manga?
Totally different art forms.
And yeah. And I definitely, people kept telling me to read the manga of anime that I'm watching because usually anime is based on the manga. But I'm like, I'm already enjoying the anime. I don't want to like read the manga and then I know what's going to happen.
I feel like it's
I'd
not
rather
quite
just enjoy the show.
It's not quite separate enough from like reading a book to watching the movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like closer than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like because it's like really, really close adaptation.
Yeah,
it's like you can almost go frame by frame and just color it. You know,
yeah, exactly.
But I'm assuming there's not an anime for this book.
There actually is.
Is there?
It just came out on Netflix recently.
I feel like that's what I need to do though is read a manga that either doesn't have an anime or I've never seen the anime, and then I can watch the anime after.
Yeah,
and I can't go the other way.
I have a feeling that the anime, we'll see because I haven't watched it. So I need to go watch it. But
I mean, based on what you're describing, it sounds like the anime would have a hard time capturing.
That's what I'm thinking because there is like you create the sounds and you create the voices in your head, and it's black and white, so you can like sometimes he throws a little color in there. But I just feel like there are these images that have like, yeah, it's like you have to the suspense has to be through reading it.
Yeah. You're like adding to it in your own imagination as you're reading it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really enjoying it. It's really dark. It's really like I'm trying to think of this. Trying to think of like other.
How many of these books have you read by him?
I think 5.
Oh damn. Okay.
3 of them were like full stories from front to back.
Okay.
2 of them were just like a bunch of assorted stories. He has like a couple famous ones. One's in here, which is about with the woman in her eyeball. The other one is like one day there's all these balloons that show up, but they're the heads of people.
Okay.
And I don't know. Like it's really weird and whack. There's one in here that specifically I remember reading going like, this is like so
Weird.
It's all weird and like silly. But like, oh, I read.
What is this book gonna be?
I read one that was I wasn't a big. This is I think my favorite out of all of them. There was one I read where it was like these like little robots that are apparently organic use the gas that's produced from dead bodies to power themselves.
Okay.
So then all these like dead fish start like showing up, and it just gets weird. It just gets insane.
Okay.
It's just it's like one of those things that
describing it sounds so dumb.
Have you seen? Okay. Do you know this is a weird tangent. Do you know the movie? I think it's All Is Quiet on the Western Front or something like that just came out. There's like memes of it. I'm probably saying the title wrong. There's like memes. It's like a war movie, and they're like me before blank, and they show the main character, and he's like all excited to go into war. And it's like trench warfare, and then it's like after, and he looks like horrible.
Yeah.
I feel like if we cut to next episode, you're just gonna be like, Ryan, what'd you do to me?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I'm trying to, because you're not big into horror. Like, you'll watch horror films.
I watch horror films. I feel like horror films don't land on me like they do other people.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like horror movies just don't affect me like I feel like their purpose is to.
Yeah.
Like other people like get this thrill out of being scared and seeing these creepy things. Gosh. And I just like, for that thrill doesn't happen in me for some reason. I'm just watching a movie, and usually I'm like, well, this plot's really dumb. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like usually horror movies just have poor plots because they're not focused on that, and it just never gets me. I don't know. I wish I enjoyed them.
Yeah,
but like they just don't.
There's a movie I watched recently.
Okay.
Two things. One, it's super art house. Do you know what that like phrase means? Art house.
No.
It's just like very non-conventional. So it's like
experimental.
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
Usually experimental films tend to be considered like an art house film.
Okay.
But it's called Skinamarink.
Like the song Skinamarink-a-doo?
Maybe.
Love you.
The whole movie is like reenacting and capturing the feeling of you being like 6 years old, waking up in your house, and it's like at midnight and nobody's home.
Oh God, no.
And it's just the whole film. And
what?
I can't tell if I love it or hate it.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to recommend it to you.
Okay.
There's some brutal stuff that happens to children in that movie.
Yeah. Okay. See, I thought we were going to get to this at some point, and I guess I'm dropping it now.
Yeah.
I had a kid.
Yes.
A little less than 2 years ago, and that has drastically changed.
I've been aware of this.
Certain horror elements that I can and can't handle.
Yeah.
Like before, it's like nothing scares me. I'm fine with anything.
Yes.
Blah 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 blah. Now, the beginning of A Quiet Place like hits too deep for me.
That's understandable.
I think I've heard the term like when,
Quiet Place, the just most okay movie. Continue.
Okay, we don't need to go there. I've heard the people when a kid dies in a movie or a book. Or
we've touched on this on this podcast. Yeah, the dead kid tax.
The dead kid tax, and I feel like before that tax was like, here you go, here's my cash. I don't care. And now I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah. To be fair, it's not dead
kid
much. Tax because it doesn't happen at the beginning of the movie, or just once.
Sure.
I'll let you.
Okay.
Doesn't make any better.
No. But yeah, I think stuff like that tends to hit a little too close to home for me now.
Yeah.
Like I can still watch it and get through, but it's oh man, it just doesn't sit right with me anymore.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, I so badly want Glenn's opinion on this because I know he'll hate it. Not even for the kid part. Like for other reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know if I can like send him into this with what I know about you. Okay. I'm like, I don't know if I can go. Here, Glenn, watch this movie. Don't come out traumatized.
It will destroy you.
It will disassemble you. None of that in this.
Okay.
I don't think. Maybe.
Okay.
It's been a while since I read this specific one, but this to me is not scary. There's nothing scary about it. It's just unsettling.
Okay.
Like,
I dig that.
I don't know. There are frames in it that are like, oh my gosh, that's insane.
Okay.
But it's only insane because you like have the context and the build up to it.
Okay. Yeah. Which is my favorite part of horror.
Yes.
I think the suspense of the build up and like slowly feeding you information is like the best part of horror. I'm trying to think of a horror movie that I actually really liked because the plot was good and it really just kept feeding you little tidbits through the whole movie.
Hereditary, I think, is one of the best horror films ever
Hereditary is very
made.
good. Midsummer's very good.
I haven't watched Midsummer yet.
Now I'm trying to think
Can
of
you
it.
describe
Yeah,
any part of it?
it might be called Don't Breathe. No, it's not Don't Breathe.
The blind guy?
Yes, the blind guy. Yeah, like that like had this like very wild build of you trying to figure out what's actually happening here, and then it drops you on it drops it on you, and
you're like, I don't want to watch this movie
I don't want to watch this. Yeah. But like that to me, that's when a horror movie's good, is when it has this. Midsummer's another great example of this just slow build where you're trying to piece together what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And then it drops it on you, and you're like, okay, like this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much. It's weird because like I know there's deeper meanings to a lot of stuff he's doing, but it feels very like from an artist's perspective, it feels very much like I want to create this story around a singular concept, spirals.
Sure.
How far can I take that? And
yeah, I don't understand how you make a story around spirals.
Oh, you will.
Like just a geometrical shape. I don't understand how that works.
To me, and what I like about this book specifically is I think I think it's kind of what you're saying, like that understanding of the full concept. But I think Attack on Titan also embarks the same feeling that I haven't experienced a lot of mediums. This book, I feel it, and Attack on Titan I do, where it's like, it's almost like you're living you're experiencing the whole medium through a really tight lens, and they pull out, and all of a sudden all these dots connect, and you just go like,
your understanding completely changes.
You're just like, what? And it's not that it's Attack on Titan to me is like the pinnacle of that.
Yeah, well,
like
definitely, yes.
They pull the lens back and everything clicks, and you just go like, I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
This is
like Attack on Titan is like, have you seen one of those people who do digital art like on their iPad?
Yes.
And it'll be like a drawing of something and they'll just keep zooming out. It's like the eye of a monster and they'll keep zooming out and the monster's in a treasure chest or something. And it just keeps zooming out. And it's like, that's what Attack on Titan is. It just keeps zooming out.
You feel that way because it hasn't been fully zoomed out yet.
Yeah.
Once it gets fully zoomed out, you're like, oh, I see it. I see the full picture.
all the pictures were there. Yeah, but like, yeah.
But I feel like with this too, you're like, what the heck is going on? And then they just this little zoom out, and I'm like, this is like I think it's that cosmic horror feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Is that you're experiencing so much of these events, and then once you see that all the events are because of a singular entity or a singular thing, you're like, I don't like how that makes me feel.
That. Yeah.
I don't like that. Like I have as little agency, like that I have.
I think it's the
less
agency thing.
than I think
it's
I
the
do.
Control. Yeah.
And like Attack on Titan, I think does that, and this does that, where you just go like, all these wacky things are happening, and then the end story happens, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah. Realizing your lack of control.
Yeah,
is just
exactly.
So
how
unsettling.
doomed you are to fall into the spiral.
Oh, man, which is just so true to life.
I cruise through these.
Really?
I read them.
I was going to ask how long would you estimate? I'm a slow reader, but
I feel like I could finish this in like 4 hours.
Whoa, okay, that's fast.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I might be overestimating. Maybe I'm just getting swept away in it.
Maybe
and it's just feeling like less, but
4 hours.
I feel
quick,
like,
my man, that's a thick book.
I feel like you could finish this in I feel like you could finish it in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
We should.
I'll go for that.
Yeah,
I'll
we
go
should
for
not
that for sure.
We should have a conversation once it's totally finished.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna say this now because we're gonna spoil the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like guys,
I feel like that's this podcast. We can't avoid it.
We can't do this thing where it's like, oh, no spoilers. Like it's gonna just
we're talking
just
about
skip
the
ahead.
thing.
Well,
yeah.
if it's really that big, I'm done trying to navigate around that. We just need to talk about it. All right.
Yeah, I feel like that is the whole podcast. Is we're going to talk about this thing, and like if you don't want to,
maybe we'll divide it. We'll say, okay, now we're going to talk about the spoilers.
Yeah, I feel like even
podcast,
that is just so tough. You know, you can just skip to the end of that episode. I feel like if you cared about the spoilers, though, you would have tried the thing.
Yeah, go try the thing.
So it's your fault for not trying the thing.
Yeah, it's your fault, listener.
Our fault.
Gosh,
you didn't
stop
try
blaming
the thing.
us. So, yeah, I'm done trying to navigate around spoilers. I just want to talk
from here
straight.
on out. Every single episode, spoiler warning.
We will tell you. Yeah, we'll just go. We're gonna spoil this.
Yeah,
here we go, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we didn't warn people before we spoiled Notion.
I'm Ryan signing off.
You can't end on a horrible joke like that.
I'm gonna do it. Watch I'm Ryan signing off.
I'm Glenn signing off,
and we'll see you in 2 weeks.